Hey, welcome to Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Hawnt. It's been a while since we've talked about a pop culture icon, and let's face it, pop culture icons don't come much bigger than Star Wars. Come on, it's been ubiquitous ever since it first came out back in 1977. Hell, the first movie I ever saw at the cinema as a very small child was Return of the Jedi, Episode 6 as it's now known, and thanks for that, Mum. So I've always had Star Wars in my life, it's always been around, and it's something that has definitely seen its ups and downs in terms of popularity. So the original movies were iconic, even though Return of the Jedi dropped the ball a bit with the Ewoks and stuff like that. We had those various video games through the years, and comics and novels through the 80s and 90s that continued the story, until we eventually got the prequel series. So in 1999 we got The Phantom Menace, followed in 2002 by Attack of the Clones, and 2005 by Revenge of the Sith. Now, those films had their bad points. They had some good points too, but people tend to only dwell on the bad things about those movies. But I like them for many things, they were quite enjoyable. Some things they weren't so enjoyable, but we're not going to get into that here. But then we thought that was it. We'd heard that there wouldn't really be a continuation, it was just going to be those 6. Story done, saga complete. The saga is complete was the tagline, one of the taglines for Revenge of the Sith in 2005. But we all know how that panned out. Eventually, sequels started to be going into production when George Lucas sold off Lucasfilm to Disney and Kathleen took over. So that's when we ended up with movies The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. I forgot what the last one was called then. Now, those movies were... The Force Awakens got really good reviews across the board when it first came out. But quite quickly, people started to see it as just a retread of A New Hope, the original Star Wars movie that had become Episode 4. But that was fine, It wasn't a bad movie, it was really exciting. Daisy Ridley was good, John Boyega was good, we got Poe Dameron was a great character that came in. Kylo Ren, while basically being a Darth Vader cover version, was an effective bad guy. Things went a bit wrong with The Last Jedi. I don't think many people really got what The Last Jedi was about. I don't think it came across particularly well. I did enjoy it. For what it was, I enjoyed The Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker, again, it's a good movie. It's not what everyone was expecting. I thought it was a little bit of a cheap shot to bring back Emperor Palpatine and just again complete the trilogy of making it more and more like the original trilogy. But that was what it was. It rounded the series off nicely. We got some nice closure. Outside of the movies, of course, there's the TV iterations of Star Wars have been going really well. They've been going from strength to strength. Of course, The Mandalorian has taken pop culture by storm because it's brilliant. It's really fantastic. We all knew that the stuff like the Clone Wars animated series was great. We've all been treated to The Bad Batch. We've been treated to Star Wars Visions of late. But there's something that has grated on me a little bit with all the stuff that came with the sequels. We got the Book of Boba Fett coming out. There's so many new series and movies coming out in the Star Wars universe, but I do think that something that would have made a really good sequel trilogy would have been the New Jedi Order, as you can see with the books here that are showing on screen. Now, this is a series of novels that ran for a few years, which took the Star Wars franchise in a very different direction. It introduced a new villain. Now, they weren't Sith, they were called the Yuuzhan Vong. And they were terrifying. They weren't like the classy sort of villains you'd seen before in the other Star Wars movies. Like with Darth Vader and the Emperor, there was something still quite regal about those characters. In the prequels, we got Count Dooku and Darth Sidious again, and there's still something again regal and quite respectful, and something kind of based on martial arts stuff. He's big on his samurai movies, was George Lucas. So when it came to doing the New Jedi Order, which started with that novel there, Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, which took things in a very different direction. We had the familiar characters, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia Organa, all the others like that. But we also had additions to the cast, such as Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker's wife, the Emperor's other granddaughter, or daughter, I can't remember now, written by some extremely talented people, including Michael A. Stackpole, who'd long since been quite an important figure in the Star Wars literary universe. And these books were fantastic. Not all of them hit the mark perfectly, but there was a lot of these books that were just majestic and ridiculous in their scope. The Yuuzhan Vong, with their weird coral ships, like armadas of strange mutated coral ships, were very alien, and that's something I think that the franchise really needed, was a more alien threat than just something that was familiar. And the Yuuzhan Vong were terrifying. The way they were described, they were almost demonic. They were very kind of tribal. They also almost reminded me, something that did remind me of them was the Sycorax in Doctor Who, when Doctor Who came back for the Christmas special when David Tennant was introduced as the 10th Doctor. But that aside, that was a good one. Dark Journey was a really good one. But yeah, it also introduced, this series also introduced a lot of adventures with the next generation, the children of Han and Leia, like Jason Solo and so on. And it really paid off well. The series eventually came to an end with an epic novel, The Unifying Force, which you'll see a picture of here at some point as these images cycle through. That book, it felt like a Star Wars trilogy in itself. Now, it wasn't without fault, but the scale of action in that book was just incredible. It was a breathtaking story. Very fast-paced. It did tie up most of the loose ends that the rest of the books had brought up. There's one of the Vong there behind Han Solo. And you can see they're not pretty. But yeah, the Unifying Force, it was on a scale that had not been seen before. Had it been done with modern technology, it would have been able to be brought to screen properly. But these were books that properly, they respected and acknowledged what had gone before in the previous novels throughout the years. Ever since, say, like the Truce at Bakura, which was supposed to have been what happened straight after Return of the Jedi finished. This was not something that pulled its punches. In Vector Prime, spoiler alert, Chewbacca is killed in quite spectacular fashion when a moon lands on him. There's a Unifying Force. That was the last one that contains a bonus CD-ROM you see on the cover there. Remember CD-ROMs? That takes you back. But the thing is, with that book, it would have just been an epic conclusion and would genuinely have taken everything that everyone loved about Star Wars to the next level. The focus was very much on the original characters and how they interacted with their new generation, with all the kids. And it was great. It was really fun. It was gripping, it was dramatic, it was a little bit darker, and much more modern than the original Star Wars trilogy was. And it was just fantastic from start to finish. As I say, not everything hit the mark in the same way, but on the whole, it was a really brave and creative decision that they took there. This was a really good series. What I would have said though, a movie trilogy of it would have had to have been made a long time ago, probably around the time that the books were out. I think then there would have been a lot more possibility of the original cast coming back for larger parts than we saw them have in the sequel trilogy. Now, the sequel trilogy does have its detractors, and it has its pluses and minuses. I really enjoyed it, but I would have loved to see the Yuuzhan Vong being taken on by the rejuvenated Jedi Order, a full-on fleet of Alliance ships, and all of the cunning and all of the ingenuity of that series, what these novelists brought to that series. I would have loved to have seen that on screen. I do believe, despite my love for the sequel series, I do believe that New Jedi Order should have been the sequel trilogy in itself. So that's a little look at why Star Wars The New Jedi Order should have been the sequel series instead of Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and I've forgotten again, The Rise of Skywalker. God, that's how memorable those movies are. I must go and rewatch them so I can at least remember the title of the damn things. But yes, The New Jedi Order, if you've not read it, give it a read. It does slightly annoy me as well that when all this came into being, when all these sequels came into being, that the New Jedi Order and everything else went under the Legends banner. It stopped being canon. And for a while, this was canon. This was the continuation of Star Wars when we didn't think that any sequels were forthcoming. So for a good long while, this was canon. So go and revisit the New Jedi Order novel series in order, and you get a glimpse, an alternate universe, an alternate timeline for what could have panned out in this in the Star Wars franchise. And it's great. It's great. Give it a go. This will be my last pop culture related video of the year. There is one more to come, just summing up this weird year that we've had. So I do want to thank you here just on this one for sticking through me all the weird pop culture videos I've been putting out this year in 2021, and there are a lot more to come. There are some changes coming to the channel, but I'll talk about those in the next video. This has been my look at Star Wars: The New Jedi Order. I'm Andrew Hawnt. Thank you for watching Planet Hex.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and validate my existence.